All right, you guys interrupted a really good conversation that I was having with you, Hansi. So we were talking about names and the power behind names and all of that. But that's not what he's here to talk about today. We are talking about, is it August already? So what does that mean? I always love the names, and you always just keep me on my toes when they come with these names, and then I have to find out what you're talking about.
Right. All right. So Kijan, you have to say it in the way it was pronunciated, right? Is it August already?
Mm-hmm.
And we often say things like that. It's 2024 already. Even today, it's Tuesday already. And you hear this so often. You ever wonder why we say that?
Because we weren't paying attention to everything. Life just kind of is just moving quickly, and it's only when we stop to pay attention to what's happening. Like, hey, life is kind of going on.
Exactly, because many of us live lives and we do things we don't want to do. So we end up dissociating from the present moment. So let's say Monday you're going to school and you don't want to go to school. You're going to a job you don't want to go, but you're going. But in the process, you kind of dissociate. It's almost like you're there, but you're not there. Mm-hmm. So then when you're actually back present, you realize, wait, now time passed and you didn't really feel the time gone. And that way, when we do that for often enough, we end up not being present for most of our lives.
And you realize that your life is kind of passing you by. Mm-hmm. And you're just you're not really living, you're just surviving. So
Correct. And that's important, because that is a major mental health issue. Because if we're doing things and we're not here, then we won't really find that fulfillment. We won't get that enjoyment. And then our children will grow up and we wonder, wait, now, he was just 2 and now he's 10 years old.
Yeah.
Where did that time go? You realize you're in a relationship and you're now starting to realize, wait, now, 5 years pass, 10 years pass, and you don't know where the time go, and you didn't really have that time to enjoy yourself. And one major reason is because many times we do things we don't want to do. We put ourselves in situations we don't want to be in, and then sometimes we don't have the courage to do what is necessary so that we can actually find fulfillment in life.
But what they tell us sometimes is that that's part of adulting. That's just what you have to do. You do what you have to do as an adult. You go to work, you take care of the house, you wash the dishes, you come home, rinse, repeat for however long. In between, you have the moments. So how do you change that?
Well, one, you see what you just said about they told us, you're no longer looking for these they who tell us these stupid things that we keep and hold as gospel that really not healthy for us. One is that is not how life's supposed to be, you know. They told us that, but all of us realize and know how unhealthy it is. Even during, I would say, during lockdown. Right? Even though, yes, it was supposed to be a global pandemic, a global disaster, many of us realized and got time to really be with ourselves, to be present with ourselves, to understand exactly what's going on with yourself as an individual, what's going on in your relationship, your marriage, what's going on with you and your children and your family. Even some people, even myself, I get to realize, wait, now what's going on in the house? All the things in the house are left pending for so long. I was able to be present with myself. And one fix to that is to actually make efforts to do what make you happy, you know. Right? Because sometimes if you're in a job you don't like, you can't necessarily get a job the next day. But if you start making efforts, whether it is you're studying towards improving your qualifications, you're actually applying for other jobs so that you're on the path to really be present, to be fulfilled. If you're in a relationship and things not going good, you make efforts to either get out of the relationship or you make efforts to make amends for you and that person to understand each other better. So it's really being able to move forward towards the solution, even if sometimes the solution may take a few months or even a year, but still moving forward.
Having something to look forward to. This is something that I read as well. Sometimes the joy of planning a vacation or looking forward to a vacation is just as fulfilling or even more fulfilling than the vacation itself. Just the looking at flights and looking at hotel rooms and something, it gives you something to look forward to, as opposed to when you're just going through the motions and life just happens around you.
Yeah, yes, just do something.
Yeah.
Now, I'll tell you, in some instances, it's difficult to do something because some of us, life just kind of beats us down, right? We, in so many situations, we don't want to be in, sometimes even not our fault because it wasn't our choice to be born into the family, into our environment. So things may occur that, shaped your life in a way that you may not have wanted it, but still make the effort. But sometimes when we're in those situations, it is traumatic for us. And response to trauma is fight, flight, or freeze. And sometimes if we want to fight, but you don't know how to fight, which is you don't have the solution. So you end up being in freeze, you end up being in flee. And that is where we dissociate. So I don't really want to deal with this now. I'll watch TV whole day. I don't want to deal with this, I'll just eat sleep, and feel good.
Take a nap.
I don't want to deal with it. Sleep.
Yeah, as soon as I get stressed.
I don't want to deal with it. Drink. We have real bars in Trinidad.
That is a real problem.
And go to the casino, watch pornography, right? Engage in all activities just to be away from the real life scenario of things. And then a year passed, 2 years passed, 3 years passed, and in the same situation. Actually, you're not in the same situation, it's worse.
It's worse, yeah. Because
years pass now. So I would say to anyone, just push forward and do something.
Yeah, I think having that goal, even the smallest goals, even today I will do this and today I will do a little bit more than yesterday and so on and so forth. I think that is what brings that purpose, that drive in life. How do you find people respond when you tell them about that? Do they give you the same thing that you would have just said, boy, life's so hard, it's so hard to do all that, it's easier to just go and drink. How do people respond when you give them this advice?
Well, when I help them understand even why he think, well, time passing fast, is because you're not living life. It gives them a time to reflect, so it's not really time moving fast. Because people really think just time actually moving fast versus it is how you perceiving the time, because the truth is 60 seconds is 60 seconds.
Yeah, we all have the same 24 hours in a day. Yeah.
Right? But what's going on in your internal state depends on how you interpret that 60 seconds. So if you're in a job again that you don't like, or a situation, you're looking at the clock. That 60 seconds feeling real
slow. Yeah.
But if you're in a job or in a situation that you love and it fulfills, that time passing fast, you wish it had more time. So when I present it like that to people, it often brings them to a point of reflection. And then when they say, oh God, boy, my life and my children and my family and this, that, then when we sit and we find a solution, even if it's quarter of a solution, once people could see their way, then they get a bit motivated. So a lot of times why we feel hopeless and we dissociate is because we can't see a solution. So sometimes engaging with a profession, whether it is a mental health professional, a financial professional, anything that you need help with, engage with someone else who may have a little more knowledge than you, so you can at least see that light at the edge of the tunnel.
Yeah, I think that's the really important thing. And the fact that you pointed out it's August already, you realize we have a culture where we really do look forward to December, like to Christmas. And it's that thing that we look forward to, that end of year, and
listen,
then they catch it up.
That is a good point, and I would say this over. We have two major drugs in Trinidad, Christmas and Carnival.
Yeah, we're right? Close to each other.
Right? and we have many people who look forward for this time of the year only. They kind of just skate through, right? I just have to make it to Christmas and have to make it to Carnival. And that's an important point to raise, because after a while, your life will pass by you. Right? And we wouldn't want to deal with, and understandably, the things that are going on in the country. I mean, we see what's going on in the paper. Most people can't even read the papers, and I rather dissociate from that. Let me just think about Christmas. Let me just think about Carnival. And then when Christmas and Carnival over, they reach back in the middle of the year. Let me look forward, and you keep going like that for years and years and years, and then your life just passes you by.
Yeah, I think a lot of people don't always think, and New Year, that anticipation of New Year, and people think that it's a reset, when in reality is Wednesday to Thursday. Sometimes it's nothing really changes. So you have to make that step, that first push to change the mundane and find something new. And it could be anything small. You pick up gardening one day, or you go swimming in the pool, anything
you like, right? And I would give the nation some homework. Sit down and make a list of all the things that make you happy.
Yeah.
It could be from the trivial thing to an important thing. So if you like roti with plenty meat in it, that's what you like. If you want a house with three, 4 bedrooms, if you want a certain career, sit down and just make a list of things that merely make you happy, and then start working towards it.
Yeah, I think that's the really important thing. And being happy, I think, is so important, because when I was younger, right, I was as precocious as I am now. So everybody used to ask me, what do you want to be when you grow up? I was like, happy. It's like, no, but what job? I was like, I don't know, whatever, happy. And that was always my response. Looking back now, did I do it? I have my good days like everybody else, and I have my bad. But I do think that as I have gotten older, I have gotten into that rut. I have gotten into and that's why you find people who say, boy, the weekend passed by so fast. Because maybe that was the few times that you were happy.
Exactly.
Those 48 hours versus the other 5 days of the week.
And Kijan, what you're saying is important, because we learn to be unhappy, right? As children, we come into this world happy. We come into this world looking for just to enjoy ourselves. And then we learn eventually. We learn to not have fun. We learn to be sad.
And be angry with people. Yeah, that's taught. That's taught.
Exactly.
A lot of people don't think that,
Exactly. So even as we now rediscovering ourselves, I'm not saying that life should be just fun and games and trivial, and have serious things. But even within these serious things, it still should find joy. It don't have to be always happiness. You don't have to be smiling and laughing and things like that. But at least have that joy and that fulfillment in terms of whatever you do.
Yeah, I think what you said earlier really stuck out to me. You said, who is it they? They say that you're supposed. Who's they?
Exactly.
Who's they? I think
maybe that could be a topic for the next time.
Who is they?
Who's really this?
Yeah, who's them? I think they say, what is this? Tradition is just peer pressure by the ancestors. It's just the ancestors just peer pressure in here from.
That is an interesting concept. And the thing is, nothing is wrong with tradition. But sometimes tradition is no longer relevant.
Yeah.
So those things have to change based on the world changing, and sometimes even the way we used to work before, right? Let's say the amount of hours we used to work before, that may not be relevant to this time.
And on that note,
Exactly. It didn't have as much traffic. It didn't have as much bills. It didn't have as much of anything. So many different things have changed, and it's time to adapt so that we could actually be happy with our lives.
Amen to that. All right. I always appreciate these conversations. It's like free therapy on a Thursday morning for 15 minutes.
True.
Send me a bill. Yoansi, thank you very much. All right, Ian Wason comes up next. He's talking sports, so I do get to cut my workday a little bit shorter. That's my time with you for today, but I will be back tomorrow. So I will see you and have a good day.